Welcome everyone to FII, For Your Innovation, a series on healthcare innovation that we launched a few weeks back with Samat Mathur, our Managing Director for Optum Philippines. And today, I'm extremely pleased to have with us for the second episode, Uma Ratnam Krishnan, Managing Director of Optum India. Uma, great to have you here. Welcome to FII.
Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. I think, this series we just recently launched, and, we're trying to get inputs from everyone, all our leaders, around their thoughts on innovation as well as Innovate. You know about Innovate, we launched that last year. This is our innovation program that puts the consumer at the center and helps us drive innovation for the enterprise. One of the largest pillars of Innovate is the innovation culture, and really wanted to tap into your expertise and knowledge around how we can drive the innovation culture at Optum Global. If you think about it, for us, which is Optum Global, one of the key responsibilities is to drive enterprise value, innovation and transformation. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on how we can do that better, and what are some of the factors that really drive the innovation culture at Optum Global?
Yeah, so this is a topic which is really close to my heart. I think at Optum, our entire mission, which drives our culture, has innovation at the core of it. What we want to do is to actually deliver quality at the highest level to all of the people that we touch. And I think innovation is a fundamental part of that. We solve big problems. We solve healthcare problems. And we don't just solve healthcare problems in a small arena. We solve healthcare problems at a global scale, and we are very privileged to be able to do that. And innovation is the lever that actually drives the ability to solve these problems at a global scale. At Optum India, we are quite uniquely positioned to make this happen, to make innovation the way we are, the way we do business. I think at Optum Global, the first thing to really understand is that we have moved on from being just a delivery center to a team of people who passionately believe in the work they do and are actually driving innovation, not just as small ideas, it's small ideas, big ideas, but really driving innovation as full-fledged product development, end-to-end, looking at how something actually lands. So I think the fact is we have actually moved on from being just a pure delivery center, which is really, really important. The second thing is I think we have actually consciously enabled people and democratized the process of innovation. And what do I mean by that? Pretty simply, it's like nobody has a monopoly on ideas. Yeah. The people closest to the business, those who actually see the problems every day, are the ones who can come up with the best ideas. So I think the ability to actually get those ideas from the people who make it work and who can make it work better. I think what we are doing is actually driving the culture by giving people the space to come up with the ideas, to speak out, to not walk past a broken glass, which is the term that we use, and actually come up with everything, being curious and saying, how and why can I change this? And of course, what's required are the tools and the techniques and the overall ecosystem, which I think we're doing a really great job of. Lots more to do, but I think fundamentally what this will do is actually help us get connected to the larger cause that we are seeking to influence and change, and create a culture of innovation. Now, to me, a culture of innovation is also about every leader and every individual, right? It's not two people who are the innovators in an ecosystem. We all have to learn how to say, hey, can I do this better? Can I do this differently? Can I do this outcome? Can I deliver this outcome in a better way? So it's a really exciting journey, and I think we're at the start of it.
Oh, thanks a lot. And I love the phrases that you use. I love the concept of, not walking past the broken glass, right? In the manufacturing setup, we keep saying, you have to have that button to be able to stop the assembly line, right? And that's something that, we need to be able to build as a culture. love the idea of, innovation is the responsibility of everyone. I think it is so true, whether it's a capability leader, whether it's a functional manager or our frontline executives. Everybody has a role to play as we think about driving innovation. And with Innovate programs like Bright Idea and iFactor, we're doing what you said, we're democratizing innovation. I think that's such a powerful thing for us to do. We're empowering the employees to come up with ideas, whether it's a simple idea or a breakthrough innovation, and support them with tools, technologies, and mentorship. And that's what drives value. Brings me to our next question. How do you think we at Optum Global can further this, right, and create an ecosystem which empowers our people to go beyond the obvious and come up with really creative and innovative solutions?
Yeah, I mean, you spoke about Innovate. I think Innovate is a fantastic platform. Bright Ideas, iFactor, creating the culture visibly around how we can drive an innovation culture and get people to actually come up with the things that matter, the things that make a difference. For us to be able to build on this as a culture, here are a few things that we can think of, right? First is, I think we are very lucky because we have the ability to actually make a difference in a scale that we probably have not imagined. So I think the first thing is to understand the fact that the work we do in Optum Global, and particularly in Optum India, which is a very, very wide footprint of the global opportunity, we are able to see those dots and see how we can connect those dots to actually create outcomes which have far larger impact. So I think one of our big pieces is to break down silos. In any large organization, silos get made over a period of time. But to drive that innovation culture forward, I think we have a huge opportunity to actually break down the silos. So we have to continue doing that, right, in whichever way that we can. We need to continue to keep the momentum behind some of these visible signs and signals of innovation, whether it's iFactor, whether it's Innovate, and actually see how we can culturally emphasize the fact that we reward this behavior. It does not necessarily mean it has to be only in a monetary way, but it's really about saying, hey, you've made a difference here. The third one is to enable business connect. What do I mean by that? It's to be able to tell the people who are coming up with the ideas, what you're doing here is impacting a patient's life or is impacting a provider's experience or a member's consumer journey or the customer journey. So it's really about being able to help people understand and feel the difference they're actually making. A few other things. Innovation's always fostered when people feel that they have the opportunity and ability to experiment, right? So innovation needs the safe spaces to come up with ideas, do some stuff. 7 out of 10 might succeed, 3 might fail. Having said that, that ability and the freedom, we need to create those spaces for people to feel comfortable. There are companies that have actually institutionalized this, right? To say, hey, you need to come up with ideas and you need to fail on some of those ideas because that's the way you'll learn. The other thing which we need to do is to make sure that we continue investing in tools, in the actual sandbox that's required for innovation, right? And continuous learning. I know we've launched a really important initiative, which is AI First Operations. That's a great example of how we can continue to provide the tools for innovation, because otherwise it's going to just sort of reduce in momentum, right? So those tools that we need to continue to invest in. And the last one I'd say is about bringing different types of talent to the table, right? Whether it's diverse talent, whether it's talent with operations expertise, technology expertise, design thinking. It's about bringing everybody together, right? Because that's where innovation actually kicks off. And I think in India particularly, we are very fortunate to have a very vibrant external environment, right? Whether it's academia, the startup ecosystem, whether it's now some of the initiatives by the government itself for driving innovation. There's a lot going on there. So how do we actually tap into some of those? Here's a great example, and I know you've been engaged in this. We've been partnering with the CNBC TV18 on HealthX Elevate. Now, HealthX Elevate is simply our message that we are here to actually support innovation in health tech. So we've worked with companies who are innovating in the health tech space because that's kind of what we want to drive forward. So I think here are a few things that we need to keep doing. And I go back to my first point, which is all of us as leaders need to live and walk the talk on innovation. Eventually saying, innovation is not for its own sake. Innovation eventually has to deliver something, right? But so we need to be very plugged into that.
No, couldn't agree more. Love the point around interlinkages, right? Because I think many a times we forget the fact that, we're all doing this for a consumer. And as we put the consumer at the center, we realize that the journey of our consumers is not going to be through only one part of the company. It's going to be through multiple parts of the company. And those interlinkages, if you're not able to see, if you're not able to remove the friction, it doesn't create a good experience for our members and providers. Also like the fact about what you said, which is, the collaboration between technology, operations. I think it's something that creates a very tightly knit ecosystem. And the point you made around diverse thoughts, diverse perspective. When you look at the problem from multiple angles, multiple mindsets, that's the best way to innovate, right? Startups, I think really vibrant ecosystem we have in India, as well as, some starting in Philippines. And I think that's an area that we really need to tap into to be able to create real value as well as innovation. And we're seeing some great results anyways, right? I think whether you think about tech ops collaboration or you think about startups, our initial partnership is helping us drive some real value for this space. Brings me to my last question, Uma. I wanted to get your thoughts on what is your innovation mantra?
So let me try and simplify it. For me, innovation is not about innovation for its own sake. I spoke about it briefly. It's about solving a problem, right? In Optum's objective, and Optum's objective is to solve the problem for the consumer, right? Whichever consumer. So it's not a shiny object we want to chase. Right? It's something that truly makes something better and different. So if you put the customer at the center of what we're doing, innovation then makes sense, right? And sometimes it's not about just doing what we do better. It's about saying, how do we solve the problem better or the outcome better? So that's something that I've always thought about in terms of, so what does this innovation actually do and deliver, right? So the second one for me is around how quickly can we scale something, right? So whether we're using agentic AI, whether we're using digital outcomes, how is it that we can actually scale an innovation? Because an innovation does not make big impact if it's in a very small silo. I mean, you can call it an improvement, but it's not really an innovation because innovation fundamentally changes things, whether it's access, whether it's affordability, whether it's quality of outcomes, in a smaller way or a bigger way, but it has to have an impact at a wider scale. So, whatever we use, is it actually scalable? And third, really important one for me, and I spoke about this a little earlier, is innovation gets better when you fail sometimes, right? Because if you don't have the mindset to innovate, if you're always in a safe space, you never fail. Means you never learn what went wrong. You never know how you can do this better. So I've always had this mantra of fail fast. Something I learned from somebody I worked with years ago, but it is a great way to do this. Do, a dozen small experiments, maybe some will fail, but fail quickly, right? And then pick the ones that look like they have legs and move on with it. So I would say broadly, those are the three things that, I think for me personally it was really important to make sure innovation lands in the right way.
No, fantastic. Fail fast and continue to learn from your failures. Put the consumer at the center and scale with purpose, scale to make sure that, the value is delivered. Really love those messages, Uma. I think it's also important when we think about innovation to drive innovation with empathy, drive innovation that's aligned to the mission. Because only when we do that are we able to move away from solutions to driving real change. And when we do that, I think that's the kind of innovation that really brings value to our members and providers and lasts for a long period of time. Uma, thanks a lot for being here. Thanks a lot for sharing your valuable perspective. Really, really wonderful.
Yeah, no, look, it's an exciting journey, and you know what? We're all on it. So hope this continues and the momentum continues, and let's all make this happen.
Absolutely. No, thanks a lot. And to the audience, thanks for tuning in. This was FYI Part 2. Keep inspiring, keep innovating. Always remember that innovation starts with a question. So what are you going to ask today?